Hello and welcome to Royale Without Cheese, our bi-weekly podcast in which we discuss both the classic and the unknown of art and popular cinema from the then and now. We are your hosts, me, Leonardo Miranda, Miguel Aido,
Hey.
hey, and Tomás Ferreira.
Hello there.
Hey, today we talk about the white ribbon, but before any ado, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, or simply give us a like. The White Ribbon is a 2009 German mystery drama, written and directed by Michael Haneke. Released in black and white, the film offers a dark depiction of society and family in a northern German village just before World War I, as strange incidents disturb their peace. The film premiered at Cannes Film Festival in May 2009, where it won the Palme d'Or, followed by positive reviews and several other major awards, including the 2010 Golden Globe for Best Foreign Language Film. The film also received 2 nominations at the Academy Awards for Best Foreign Language Film and Best Cinematography, soon becoming one of Haneke's best-known works of the 21st century. However, what did RWC think of this doom and gloom tale on the whereabouts of the roots of evil? Fellas, let's dive in.
Jeez. On the whereabouts of evil. This is not a horror film.
It went dark.
Well, it is
You made
about
it
the roots
sound
of evil.
like, I mean, it's more like parenting and
It is parenting, but I'm not only saying this because it's just me. The Haneke himself has said this. It is about the roots of evil. So it is a case maybe of what the filmmaker says and then what the audience says. But I find truth in that. But definitely more to do with parenting. Yes.
I can see that because if you take into account the context, the overall arching context of pre-World War I events, it is interesting to see the analogy between the strictness of the people of this village and then what happens, not just in the first but the 2 world wars, and seeing that as a root of some sort of, well, evil. Although the film, I think, really focuses on parenting and strict parenting, and it's obviously a lot more because you have really despicable people in an otherwise very small village. It's like
Yeah.
the ratio of bad people to
Yeah, this village is fucked
overall
up.
people.
Like,
Yeah, completely fucked up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Some scenes in there that I was like, Jesus, man, take a chill pill. Like, take it easy.
alas.
right. I mean, it's
The
everyone
scene
is
between the
hitting people and beating up their kids.
the scene between the doctor and his mistress, I was like, Jesus Christ, man! Like, have some heart.
yeah,
like, what the
so cruel.
fuck? I'm gonna
Funny,
slap
also
you.
funny, kind of funny though,
All right.
because it's so over the
Because it's
top.
so
Yeah,
because it's
exactly.
so harsh.
Like the last line, why don't you just die?
Yeah. I was
Then
like,
it cuts.
fucking crap, man. Jesus Christ, or a heartless bastard. Like, Jesus fucking
I'm
Christ.
glad he tripped on the horse.
Yeah, no, I'm glad he
Yeah.
tripped on the.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I was feeling bad for him at the start, but then it was like, Jesus Christ.
And then it's the
Yeah.
same guy who abuses his daughter. Then
Yeah,
you've learned this, so it's like clearly this is the evil person in the village.
Yeah, he's the root. Because he's the doctor. Like, I don't know, naturally I was just like, oh, he must be a good guy. He's the doctor. He takes care of people.
He's a
Nope.
doctor. He has this forsaken child at home who really misses him. So you start imprinting on him the idea of a good example for, this small microcosm of society. But no, he's just a deep shit,
Yeah.
Real bad.
Real.
But anywho, what do you thought of the film?
I mean, I think it's a lot of things. It's a long film, so you really have to, sort of take. At least I took a break because I just got a bit tired when I first started watching it, and I wanted to keep watching it with full attention. So I just said, okay, I'm gonna take a break here because the film goes through a lot of things, and you have to really uh watch it with care. And I think the most interesting part of it to me was the flow of the edit. The way we jump from situation and character was like unbelievable. I think it's so easy to get it wrong with other films, considering the number of characters we have and the different situations. but the way we cut from scene to scene, I think it was really well done, and not at all easy to flow like this in a long film. Sometimes we leave really tense situations or really tense pieces of dialogue for otherwise very calm scenes, and sometimes it's kind of the reverse. And to keep it all going with naturality, I think it really deserves praise. So that was what really struck me as the most well done thing, I think.
And this is edited
And the
by
acting as well. I really like the acting.
this is edited by Monica Willy, who also edited Tar.
Tar. Okay.
Okay, well,
Ah,
that does make sense, yeah.
yeah.
No, but truly, I think sometimes I was like mind boggled by the
Mind boggled.
cuts. It's just so impressive. But yeah, that what came up to me as the most impressive thing. I love the acting as well. I think a lot of scenes really exemplify some of the dynamics between the characters, fathers and sons and daughters, the relationship between a lot of characters. And I love that the dynamic of seeing how everyone interacts and how everyone is within their family, or within this sort of smaller community of the classroom or of the church. It's not a super rich film narratively in terms of inciting incidents and things leading to this.
Plot.
Yeah, it's nuanced. It takes a long time. But I love, on the other hand, I love the side of it where we just go into the family, we go into this, into that, into these little contexts.
It's like you're visiting these different neighboring realities, so to speak, in this village.
Yeah, it's a truly communal film. It's not often that you see a film where you really have a community, you set it up in a place and a time, and you go inside the house, outside, to the garden, to the street, to the barren house, to all of these places, and you really understand how the families work and the relationships work. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was it's not perfect, obviously. Sometimes I wasn't fully engaged with it, but that side of it really, I thought it was interesting to witness. And yeah, if I had to highlight beyond what I said about the acting and the edit, I think for me one of the more interesting threads, I suppose, of the film was the one between Ava and our narrator, so the main
Yeah,
character, I suppose,
I
and
agree.
how we see their relationship evolving. Probably the most engaging part of it. Maybe we're all suckers for romance, but
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah,
And for
those are
shy
mine.
guys.
And women, I think she's more shy though.
She's shyer,
She's
yeah.
shyer, yeah, than him.
She's shyer, but he has sort of. He
He's
has
more.
sort of.
He's awkward. He's a little awkward.
He's awkward, but he's very. He's
But he's
very.
not shy though.
He's very delicate with her, which charmed me. I
Yeah,
liked
but I don't know
it,
if
and I
shy
related.
is the right.
Yeah, he's not really
Maybe
shy
not.
though.
Maybe it's not. Maybe not. Shy is not it because quite. He
He's
took
the one who
quite the
approaches her.
opportunity.
He's the one who's
He's the
like
one who approaches her.
making
And
conversation.
I have to say, a great scene,
In the classroom, he can be very strict as well.
a great first meet cute. Very genuine, very realistic. I think, was built very well. Like the way she stops her on her way out because she knows she's the maid working for like the Baron, and she lives in the nearby village where his father lives. So innately, okay, this is my cue. I'm gonna start talking to her. Do you want to take my fish to my dad? And then that idea starts crumbling over. I don't have any. And the way she kind of smiles awkwardly, it's so kind of I'm so like charmed by them. Like and it's like she's so sweet and he's so sweet that immediately I'm there with them, and it's like. There's this reticence of her, like she knows that he is interested, and he kind of knows that he's showing interest as well. And how does the scene end? She doesn't accept the fish, she just goes away, but you feel like he gets away with something. But I feel like by the end I'm like, but okay man, you did it, you went there and you did it.
Yeah, because she comments that I'm still learning how to ride the bike, so she makes a little, as she's driving away, she makes a little joke. So I think that makes it like, okay,
there's a
this
little,
was successful.
it was successful, somehow, there's a thread that we have started something. So
Exactly.
you feel good for him, and it's like, you did it, man. It was like you pierce into the bubble of starting to talking, and you are conquered by that moment, and then you have that other further on beautiful moment of him being there. I love the way the fixed shots are used in this film, much similarly to Human Traffic. Funnily enough, in Human Traffic you have still shots, and while the characters are very active doing things, and they are wide shots, so you have a great full depth of field view of a scene of a place, while you may have like Coop DJing like this to the camera. And so there's a dynamic that is very strange. The camera is not moving, but the whole environment is moving. And so in this, there's a scene where you have the professor and this girl, this maid, on a carriage, and it's a fixed shot of them on the carriage moving. And it's a date, and he like makes a quick turn for the river and gonna do a picnic there, and she becomes kind of reticent about it. And it's that immediate kick in of that sort of worm in the back of the consciousness, maybe of the female mind, that suddenly maybe things may go backward or wrong. Where is this man gonna take me? Which is the worst thing that can happen to a guy, like to feel like the girl is not trusting you at all, which is what happens to this poor dude, and he's trying to make it happen very, very nicely put. I have no bad intentions, etc. And in the end, I'm just saying in my mind, please just say, okay, I'm not gonna just say, don't worry, and just end it, and do what she wants, and he does it eventually, and then she does what is sweet, which is to thank him, and he receives the kiss. So it's like somehow their bond is stronger because he didn't went up, he didn't went further with the thing, and he backtracks and they go away from the date, the picnic in the woods, which I think it was so nicely built, and you have that little bump on the road of her not wanting it, and then him eventually relenting and allowing her to have her say and not having the picnic. That I thought it was real as per romantic relationships and what these two people do. It really wins you over to their romance, and I feel somehow because all of these scenes build up the sort of this innocence and this place for good in a film that otherwise in other areas of the narrative is so dim looking, and is built with relationships, love relationships that are so rotten and filled with like resentment and ill living and not liking each other and full of bumps on the road, that when you see these two working perfectly despite sometimes not gelling so well, but there's respect, it's a light in the movie that you attach yourself to, like an anchor, that works very well. Yeah, so it's almost like you have them become the example of the good in humans, in human life, the good of the human spirit, and then the bad of the human spirit. All these children that become consumed by how their parents behave with them, how they teach them, how they parent them, and then vice versa with husbands, with wives, or lovers, men with their mistresses, and how they mistreat them, and how that bad behavior becomes bad behavior after bad behavior, and it's a cyclical thing, that eats upon itself. It becomes this huge beast, which then creates these crimes on the village that come from the children, and how the children are like badly treated. You just don't know who exactly, but the fact that we are left without an answer precisely, I think is what's sort of interesting.
Yeah, and it connects a bit to that idea that you started with the root of evil. I mean, it literally starts with the kids and as young people, I suppose. So it's interesting to see how through that parenting and that strict, I mean, I wouldn't even say strict, it's just violent.
Yeah.
I mean, they're constantly hit on, so it's putting it lightly to talk about being strict. So when you
some parents in this movie are strict, some parents in this movie are super violent. Yeah,
of course, yeah, there are different levels, but what I mean in terms of evil, it's the ones that are
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah,
being
yeah,
hit
yeah.
on and not hit on, suffering these acts of violence. So yeah, of course that makes an impression, and leaves a mark, and yeah, I mean, it's always traumatic for any kid. So who knows what that leads to.
And even when discussing, when you have the example of a parent who is an example of that parent, a bad parent, like the priest, even when discussing something that is as pure as taking care of a bird, there's no love in it. It's like he cares for his son, but it's almost clinical and a cold politeness. you want to take care of him, then it's a great responsibility, you know. It's almost like the undercurrent of taking care of him is that because if you don't take care of the bird well, I will come after you and I will stick a stick up your ass. You know, it's almost like there's that thing there that the if scenario.
The
that
threat
if
of
you don't do
violence
it
is always
well, there's
hanging.
a threat of violence, you know, like Jesus, take a chill pill. Like I'm afraid for the children in this movie all the time. You know, it's ridiculous.
You can tell that by the way he enters the office every time. You know, it's a very sort of mild knock, and then very shyly entering the room, and almost with reverence, you know, looking at the father. Like, can I say this? So everything is under this veil of fear, and although the father is sort of that figure of, you know, male sort of strictness, not showing emotion, and then you have that hint of emotion when he offers the cared for bird to his father after the one that he had died. So sort of a replacement. It's the scene where he comes in and says, "Here, this is for you because you were feeling sad." And you can tell at that moment the father almost displaying a sense of emotion and becoming tear-eyed. But that's the that's the most you see of him. It's a sense of being touched by the kid's act, but not more of it. And the scene then cuts immediately when he goes to approach the bird, which what I thought was really interesting, and another piece of edit that I remembered. But yeah, it's these little moments that really build the character, and sometimes it's how you end the scenes also. But the acting as well. I mean, the whole that whole family is really interesting, and the way the kid always approaches the father is really well done, and lot of good actors, like kid
I mean,
actors in this film.
after the reflecting skin, I was thinking, my God, these
Oh,
kids
yeah.
are like
Yeah,
the greatest
Amazing.
fucking actors I've ever seen.
These
They're
kids
amazing.
are Oscar,
Yeah, they're
like Evil.
incredible.
like there's not one bad one.
Yeah, they all do great. And it's like it's demanding, like some of the things that they have to do emotionally. Like that kid you were saying. You know, there's a nuance to how he approaches the father that, like how you go about asking a kid to do that without asking, because you know when you ask them the kid probably won't do it, but you know how you direct a kid to do that, you know, it's difficult, I'm sure.
It starts by finding a kid who is the kid character, you know, who
Yeah,
most
exactly.
kind of gets closest to that reality. So then you
Won't
need
have
to
to
do
act
less
too
explaining.
much.
One of the things to do with that family, which is key to the theme in the film and key to the title in the film, The White Ribbon, which I think is interesting, is that it's all to do with these notions of punishment and reward. You know, that nothing good will come of just simple punishment, which is what happens in the parenting in this film. Is that through punishment and control, maybe these kids will change behavior and become better people, better adults, more responsible, more, you know, moral abiding and whatnot. But that's the wrong thing. Even when he tries to incite them to be good and do good, quote unquote, is through force feeding them a notion of good, which is to impress on them the white ribbon. And to, if you carry the white ribbon, you will remind yourself to be good, which is in itself a rule. Everything is a rule. Rather than, you know, rewarding them by their good behavior, relaxing them, having time shared with the family that is positive reinforcement, it's all negative reinforcement. Even what's supposed to be a good reminder of goodness is a negative reinforcement. So of course they're not going to change. In fact, they're going to rebel against authority, if anything, which is what starts to happen in the background of the film, almost like this phantom. You see somebody falling off their horse, the board being set on fire, a kid being thrown into the river, all these kind of random things where you don't quite know who the culprit is. Sometimes you do know. And it's just, it's interesting that the author of all that is the children collective. And we don't need necessarily to know the who of the children that it is. And because that is left out, it functions more as a commentary that is not so much interested about the guilty child, but the guilty adult. It's not about finding the guilty child. We know who the guilty adults are. So that's the most interesting thing that we can say about this film. You know, it's the priest, it's the baron, it's all these people who kind of don't show love towards their children and then let them behave like this. Those are the real culprits. But yeah, Mike, you were saying.
No, it was just an add on to what you were saying, because it's not at a particular moment that it starts. You clearly see that it's something that it has been happening for a long time. At least, we see from the moment of the wire, the trip wire thing with the doctor. We don't know if it was going on, with smaller things before. It definitely is something that was already happening, and you can tell that this is sort of, we're entering this stage of evil deeds by the children. And what I mean to say is, it didn't start at that ribbon, giving the ribbon thing. It's something that was already in their psyche, I suppose, and it's just in the way that they've been taught. So it's a mindset. It's a complete mindset of, perhaps ever since they were kids, most likely, because their parents didn't suddenly switch.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's kind of, every film is sort of a mystery to unravel something, and that normally relies on a backstory or a past to be unfolded. And here in this film, what we have is, the kickstart to the story is really the trip from the horse, the first crime, so to speak, the inciting incident. But what's really being unfolded is this thing that has existed for ages, like you say, since they were kids, and that's the real center point of the story.
I think one of the other really important elements is also the husband-wife duality as well.
Yes.
These sort of figures of strictness, they're always the fathers. uh, which it is not like a Germany thing. It's like a lot of countries had this sort of
Yes.
way
Yes.
of
Yes.
working and
Patriarchy. Put it
functioning.
in a word.
Yeah, yes, I mean,
It is part of that notion. It is part of that
sure,
notion
yeah.
of the.
Of course, there have always been men that haven't had this sort of way of parenting, but for sure, I think there's
No, of course.
obviously a connection. But what I mean to say is, at this time
My
of
father did not have
history,
that way of parenting, for
no,
example.
no, but I'm
It was
talking
a
about,
matriarchy, so to speak. So
but
yeah.
yes, but I'm talking about, at this time of history, early 20th century, many countries, had male figures that parented in this way. So it's not something strictly German or strictly,
Yes.
Austrian or strictly anything. Um, and so, yeah, this to say that it definitely happened a lot with these male figures. But it's also interesting to see, and in this movie specifically, how the women are always, perhaps, always have been, these figures of compassion, and the other side of it. It's always, if the father punishes this way, at least we can turn to the mother for comfort. And yeah, it's interesting because you then, looking at the film specifically, you have these mother figures constantly being berated, and a lot of times also being the victims of some violence, whether it's physical or mental. But yeah, there's also a really heavy commentary, and obviously the doctor, the woman, specifically in that family, is one that we see more obviously being the victim of this. Uh, but I think throughout you can see this constant subservience, which is just another thing that was very common and sad.
It's a film that is as well a time capsule, I think, into life in the first half of the 20th century, or in this weird place in time where it's almost the late 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, before the World War I. Really, the idea of children separate from adults only really started happening around then, because in the late 19th century they were seen as small-sized adults, was so that's why there was no problem in putting them into factories or working in mines, during the Industrial Revolution, because that's what they are. The things that were expected of them in terms of behavior was a lot more higher, and hence
It
parents
was also
parenting
because
them in this
of
way.
poverty, and the needing for work and
Yes,
providing.
of course. Yes.
Also with Ava and the fact that she needs to get married and it's one less mouth to feed and all of the implications of what it meant to have little money. So
Yeah. But that conscience of
it was all rooted, I suppose, in this context of social inequalities.
it has a lot to do with necessity, working class as well, needing to feed them, but also the innate exploration of the booming kind of capitalist system at the time, with the Industrial Revolution coming into the fold. And so I think that has something to do with the style of parenting also here. And that separation of the child as a child, not as an adult, happened progressively until the 1950s, where inclusively teenagers, for example, like America, starting to have more money, power. They were starting to be seen as a kind of a different age gap, age, place, and so being treated differently, clothes differently, fashion differently, all of those things kind of. It was a different time, different way of kind of parenting, and that's what we are saying in this film.
I mean, it's not like parents like this don't still exist, but I think
Oh yeah, of course.
it's still much better. And I think, going back to the whole evil roots of evil thing, it's no accident that this is kids in early 20th century. So this is people that are gonna be late 30s, 40s, in the Second World War. So
Yeah.
it's speaking a bit about the sort of people that are then not leaders, but people, of relative importance in the Nazi regime. So
No, yeah, it establishes a night like how people were maybe molded in their youth to then be accepting of a regime like that. I think
Yeah.
that's sort of what the film is doing.
Yeah,
Pretty well.
exactly. Yeah, and yeah, looking at it in that light, I think it makes perfect sense, and I think it's really interesting.
And that's all for today. If you'd like to reach out and suggest a film for the next episode, you can find us on the podcast official Instagram and website pages. Feel free to subscribe, share this episode, or simply give us a like. That's how our podcast can grow ever more groovy. And if you're on YouTube and want to see more videos like this, check out this next video right here. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. Bye bye!
Auf Wiedersehen!